Good morning, it's November 24th, 2023, and you're tuned into Hot Topic and Fresh News, where we cover the day's most pressing news. The ongoing Israel-Hamas war has seen a glimmer of hope with a truce implemented, permitting aid trucks to enter the Gaza Strip through Egypt's Rafah border crossing. However, the Israel Defense Forces caution Palestinians in Gaza against moving north during this temporary pause, underlining that the war is far from over yet. In a surprising turn, air raid sirens sounded in two villages near the Gaza Strip mere minutes after the truce took effect, raising alarms of possible rocket attacks from Hamas. Internationally, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel led a pro-Palestinian march in Havana condemning the United States for its support of Israel. Meanwhile, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock emphasized Israel's right to self-defense at the Green Party's annual conference. The Israel military spokesman, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, stated that gaining control over the northern half of the Gaza Strip is only the initial step of a prolonged war. The Israeli defense minister and prime minister echoed this sentiment, stating their intentions to continue fighting until all their objectives are met. Lastly, the temporary truce between Israel and Hamas, mediated by Qatar, is set to start at 7 a.m. on Friday, with the release of hostages held in Gaza expected. This ceasefire will also allow for much-needed aid to enter the Gaza Strip, where hundreds of thousands of people remain displaced and in dire humanitarian conditions since the conflict's inception on October 7th. Stay tuned for an in-depth analysis as we unfold these developments further. Good morning, this is your host, Emily, bringing you the most pressing news of the day.
And I'm David, here to add some insight into these hot topics.
As always, you're tuned into Hot Topic and Fresh News. Remember to never miss a moment, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Now, without any further ado, let's dive straight into the headlines. As the conflict continues to unfold, we see aid trucks carrying essential supplies entering the Gaza Strip. This is a brief relief amidst the ongoing crisis, with trucks entering the area through Egypt's Rafah border crossing. These vehicles carry crucial aid, including 130,000 liters of diesel and 4 trucks of gas. On the other side, we have the Israel Defense Forces cautioning Gaza's inhabitants against moving north during this pause in hostilities. Their message is clear: the war is not over yet. The humanitarian pause is temporary. They've urged residents to stay in the southern humanitarian zone for their own safety. Just as the truce takes effect, the tension ratchets up once again as the Israeli military sounds sirens in two villages near the Gaza Strip. These warnings signify potential rocket attacks from Hamas, serving as a grim reminder that the ceasefire may be temporary and fragile. As we navigate through these complex updates, it's a reminder of the rapidly changing world we live in. The stakes are high, the conflicts are complex, and the news never sleeps. What are your thoughts on these unfolding events? Are the insights we're providing resonating with you? Let's continue with this deep dive, keeping in mind the lives affected and the global implications of this ongoing conflict.
It seems that the pulse of the world is beating in rhythm with these events. Could you talk a little more about the Cuban president's support for the Palestinians?
Absolutely. President Miguel Díaz-Canel of Cuba led a significant protest march in support of Palestinians. It's worth noting that Cuba, a communist-run country, has been supporting the Palestinian cause for decades and does not maintain diplomatic relations with Israel.
What about Germany's stance? How does it contrast with Cuba's position?
German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has stressed Israel's right to self-defense during the Green Party's annual conference. She emphasized that Israel is fighting against Hamas, not the Palestinians, and acknowledged the dire living conditions in Gaza.
An interesting perspective. Now, with these unfolding events, what's your personal take?
My viewpoint is that the revival of a two-state solution advocated by the German minister seems to be the most viable resolution. Despite the complexity and the historical context, it's a path towards peace.
That's quite an optimistic perspective. With the current situation, it seems nearly impossible, don't you think?
While it may seem idealistic given the current situation, it's crucial to aim for peace and stability. Only then can there be progress and a chance at a better life for the people affected by this conflict.
You're right. My apologies, it was wrong of me to express such skepticism in face of a solution that could potentially end the suffering of so many people. So, we're hearing about a resumption of hostilities after a temporary pause. Could you elaborate on what's happening?
Indeed. Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, a spokesman for the Israeli military, stated that their control over the northern half of the Gaza Strip is just the first step of a long war. Despite the announcement of a 4-day ceasefire by Qatari mediators, the Israeli government has been clear: the truce won't end the war.
So, what are the stated goals of this continued conflict?
Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has said the fighting would continue for at least 2 more months. Their goals are explicit: to destroy Hamas military capabilities, end its 16-year rule in Gaza, and secure the return of all captives held in Gaza by Hamas and other groups.
And what's the response from Hamas?
Hamas has stated that they consider the ceasefire as temporary and their fingers remain on the trigger. It's clear that both sides remain steadfast in their positions, making the situation on the ground incredibly volatile.
With the situation so fluid, what does this mean for the possibility of a truce?
Any truce in this situation is tenuous at best. Though there is a scheduled pause in the fighting, with both sides making such assertive statements, the future remains uncertain. The world watches on with bated breath, hoping for an enduring resolution.
What can we expect from the upcoming hostage exchange?
Qatari spokesman Majid Al-Ansari has said that a list of civilians to be released by Hamas has been received. The expectation is to release about 50 hostages within the 4-day ceasefire period, which will happen on a daily basis.
And what does this mean for the Palestinians held in Israeli jails?
It's expected that Palestinians will be released from Israeli jails as part of the deal. However, specifics are yet to be disclosed.
Meanwhile, what's happening for the people on the ground in the Gaza Strip?
The situation remains dire. The conflict, which started on October 7th, has left hundreds of thousands displaced and in severe humanitarian conditions. However, there is a glimmer of hope with the promise of aid to the Gaza Strip, which is currently under a blockade imposed by Israel and Egypt. Qatar has said that aid would be going in as soon as possible.
Such a complex situation. We'll certainly be watching as events unfold.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into our broadcast today. We've delved deep into the current situation in the Middle East, making sense of the complex dynamics at play. We appreciate your listenership and invite you to subscribe, activate notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, your engagement means so much to us and allows us to keep delivering the news you need to know.
And don't forget to let your friends, family, and fellow news enthusiasts know all about hot topic and fresh news. Whether it's on social media or over a cup of coffee, spreading the word helps us reach more people and deep dive into more topics. We bring you fresh, insightful content every day, and trust me, you'll want to be there when we do.
We're grateful for your time and for choosing Hot Topic and Fresh News as your news source. We're looking forward to bringing you more in-depth analysis and conversation in our next episode.
Absolutely. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, Emily and David, stay in the loop, keep your eyes on the news, our channel's content will amuse. See you next time.